Okay, this will be volume of cylinders. What we're going to do here is we are going to talk about solving when we have circular things like spheres, hemispheres, cylinders, cones, and we have this pi involved. We can leave our answer in what's called in terms of pi, or we can just round it. In terms of pi means you do everything that the formula tells you to do except plug in that pi symbol into the calculator. So we're going to do both on this. First things first, we have pi radius squared times the height. So the radius and the height are the two things that we need. So we're going to write down what our radius is, which is 3. We're only halfway across that circle. Our height is going to be connecting those two, the two circles. So our height is going to be 6. So let's plug in. Volume equals, we have our pi symbol. Then we have our radius. Do not forget to square it. So we're going to have 3 squared times the height of 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my school calculator under here and show you exactly what we're going to be doing here. To put it in terms of pi, I ignore the pi symbol and I'm just going to go 3 squared times the 6 and we're going to get 54. So then your answer in terms of pi just ends up being the volume equals 54 pi. In terms of pi, you have the term pi there. Okay, our units are inches and we are doing volume, so we are cubed. Now, we are going to, if you're using these calculators, all you have to do now is just push times and then the pi button. Okay, so I just push the multiplication button and it just pops up as my answer, or just type in 54. And then I'm going to push that pi button that's all the way down here at the bottom. And press the enter. We've talked about that in class. And then there we go. And we can round to the nearest tenths. So round to the nearest tenths, we'd have 169.6 inches cubed. So I'm going to do this for all, well, I guess just for these two, because we're just finding volume on the first two. All right, so number 2 here. Again, let's find our radius and let's find our height. Now what we need to understand, this 15 is all the way across. This is not our radius. This is our diameter. We don't want that. Our radius will be half of that, which is going to be 7.5. And then our height is going to be, again, your height is not always, I said this in my last video, your height is not always up and down. If you lay down, your height's still going to be from feet to head. So your height is going to be 18. Plug into the formula very quick. Just kind of plug and chug. Here we go. Pi radius squared, so 7.5 squared, times the height of 18. We're going to leave the first one in terms of pi, so we're going to square that 7.5, multiply it by 18. We're going to get a big number. We're going to get 1,012.5 pi. Now, if you do it in terms of pi, do not forget to put that pi symbol on there, or you have a completely different answer. Millimeters is our unit, so millimeters cubed. If we then take that and we multiply it by the pi symbol, we end up with a total of 3,180.9 millimeters cubed. Okay, so showing you both. In terms of pi is easy. All right, just don't plug in the pi symbol in the calculator. Now we're going to work backwards. Now with this, to give us our volume in both forms I showed you, when working backwards, you're going to want to use the one in terms of pi. So we're going to use this. This is our volume. We are going to look for the radius right here, either x or I'm going to call it r. Okay, so in our formula where our volume is equal to pi radius squared h, we need our radius, which we don't know. That's what we're looking for. Okay, and then we need our height, and our height is right here at 12. So we're going to plug in what we know. We know our volume. Okay, our volume is going to be this 768 pi. And you're going to see how this, it's not as hard as it seems with that pi symbol. This is why you want to keep it in terms of pi. Then we're going to, on the other side, we have pi times our radius squared. Remember, we don't know that yet. Times 12, our height. Watch what happens. We need to get everything away from radius, okay? It's going to look a little different on both sides. This is how I do it, though. We need to get rid of the pi, and we need to get rid of the 12. How do we do it? We divide by pi, and we divide by 12. So here, if we divide by pi, those cancel. Over here, we divide by 12, those cancel. So we're left with this radius squared over here. Well, what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. This is why I say it's going to look different. I'm going to take that pi and that 12 in the denominator, I'm going to switch them around, and you'll see why. If we go 12 pi, here my pi's are lined up. They cancel out, and all I have to do is 768 divided by 12 to figure out what the radius squared is equal to. And we're going to end up with 64. And then because the radius is still squared, we need to do the square root to undo it. And the square root of 64 is 8, so our radius is going to be 8 inches. I have room to write inches. Okay, so terms of pi is pretty cool. Less work we really have to do. Feel free to research anything on YouTube or ask your teacher if you have any further questions.